The problems surrounding vaccine research have infected many disciplines, but few scientists have had the courage to sound the alarm until recently. RFK is 100% right on this. Demanding reproducible evidence is not extreme. Tawe. Lest there be any doubt, I am a true believer. SS. Hope to see you back on Long Island soon. Much love. Well, thank you, Freddie. Love right back. Does Hassan Piker have to help his Uncle Jank off his horse, DC? I think so. Hey, Jimmy, will you shout out happy birthday to our friend Dom Herrera? Love to you and Steph. Melissa Carey.
Oh, you're kidding. Is it Dom's?
I guess he'll be texting him right now. Thank you for the reminder, Melissa. Oh, Melissa Carey, look at you. Hey, do you guys think Tim Wells wasn't Kamala's choice, but really the only guy that didn't tell her, fuck no, Joe Pate? I think everybody wanted to run with her. So many people.
I don't think she had a choice. I think it was decided
he was
for
all
her.
preordained. The worst. Who liked that guy?
I don't think Kamala is a sentient being.
Mm.
I think she's a, like
I'm really
excited. She wouldn't pass it. Yeah.
I hear she might run for governor in California. Just when we thought it couldn't get bad here. Very exciting. Ron Paul for a guest. He could sit next to Kurt. Thank you, B-Man. Much appreciated for that. So many
in my house?
Yeah, in your house. So many people still want to deep six Fauci. That's literally why he still has U.S. Marshal Security Protection. Savage. Scott Horton's provoked about Ukraine is literally half footnotes. Also, get Scott Horton on and ask about his new book. Thank you, Clint, for the recommendation. We want to see Betsy. Let's see the new dog, Jimmy. Reverend Edmund Balella. Betsy. She's a wild child.
I'm hot.
Okay, we'll come back on.
Here.
Met you in Cleveland with my mom, our first stand-up show. You're kidding. And you guys had us rolling. Steph, the wife, hopes you enjoyed the gift. I used to send you guys t-shirts, so we wanted to share the love. Lauren Potts, I love the necklace. It's Lauren Potts Novotalk. Lauren Potts Novotalk, owner and designer. This is beautiful. I really love it. Thank you so much. And thank you. And it's called Luna Lou Artisan Jewelry. Luna Lou Artisan Jewelry. Okay. Back to Jimmy.
So the New York Times smeared Tulsi Gabbard. They're doing this. So if there's an appointment that Trump makes, and the New York Times says it's a good appointment, that means it's a bad appointment. If the New York Times and MSNBC, CNN go crazy, that means it's a great appointment. So they're going nuts over Tulsi Gabbard. So how Tulsi Gabbard became a favorite of Russia's state media. That's what it says. Come on.
Wow.
You know what this is really about, Kurt? The New York Times is misogynist and they don't want a women's Secretary of Defense. That's what that is.
Oh, I might have known. They're not ready for a woman secretary.
President-elect Donald J. Trump's pick to be the director of national intelligence has raised alarms among national security officials. You mean the corrupt warmongering in the pocket to the war machine and the military-industrial complex? Intelligence officials? You mean the ones who said there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? The ones who took us into Libya, turned it from the most prosperous country in all of Africa into a failed state with open slave markets? The ones who made us try to get into a war, who made us drop more bombs in Syria? You mean the same intelligence people that lied to us for 20 years of Afghanistan? You mean those intelligence people, she's upsetting them? Good.
They're afraid. They're afraid she's going to get her pyramid.
So Glenn Greenwald says, if Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset, why has the United States military allowed her to serve in it for 26 years, up to and including today as a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve? It's rather go ahead.
Oh, because they have to launder that idea through the New York Times because they can't come out and say it because it's not true, is my guess.
Glenn says it's rather difficult to explain that, except with the conclusion that the accusation is utter baseless bullshit.
Well, I knew that when it said New York Times.
That's right. So let's get into this. Charlie Kirk tweeted this out. He says the New York Times just published a ridiculous piece smearing Tulsi Gabbard as a Putin propagandist and essentially a Russian asset. Not until 6 paragraphs down do they finally fess up and admit there's absolutely zero evidence that she ever collaborated with Russian intelligence. What? Let's watch. Oh, here it is, 6 paragraphs down. It says, no evidence has emerged. So that doesn't mean there isn't evidence. They just go, it hasn't emerged yet. It's still hiding underground.
Yeah, it's in a deep underground military base.
Yeah, like a razor clam. No evidence has emerged that she has ever collaborated in any way with Russia's intelligence agencies. Instead, according to analysts and former officials, Ms. Gabbard seems to simply share the Kremlin's geopolitical views, especially when it comes to the exercise of American military power.
Oh, I take it a step further. I want them executed when Trump comes in. I want Trump to round them up with them. I advocated openly.
Okay. Of course, he's joking. That's what's called a joke. So this goes up on YouTube. They don't pull it down for advocating for violence.
No, that's a court trial I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean go through
not extrajudicial. We'll have a televised trial for them.
Oh, okay.
And then they go.
In several public appearances and in social media posts, she has outlined policies not different from the views of Vice President-elect J.D. Vance.
You don't say.
Who has also emerged as a critic of American support for Ukraine.
Wait, they appointed someone that aligns with their views, is what they're reporting.
So let me just read that to you again. This is kind of amazing. It's kind of shocking. No evidence has emerged that she has ever collaborated in any way with Russia's intelligence agency. So in other words, we made this up. Anybody who says this makes it up because there's no evidence to say this.
No evidence has ever emerged, Jimmy, that the person who wrote this is a pedo. It hasn't emerged.
No, there's no evidence.
There's no evidence. It has not emerged.
It has emerged that the person who wrote this is a pedophile.
Should it poke its head out, then we would say that. But there's no evidence currently.
Kurt, but if you start demanding evidence every time a reporter reports something, you wouldn't have 5 minutes of programming. Let alone 24 hours a day, am I right? Let alone a whole newspaper every day. Let's look who the people are who actually did write this.
Yes, that's my favorite part.
Stephen,
3 people.
Stephen took 3 people to come up with that. She's a Russian. Stephen Lee Myers, Jim Ruttenberg, and Julian E. Barnes. A nice. Is that no? That's 3 fellas. I thought Julian might be a lady, but it's a fella.
Yeah, a real think tank going there.
So Stephen Lee Myers reports on Russian disinformation. You mean he creates misinformation and reports it as fact? You mean like that?
You know, they got to run these fake ass jobs
the fuck
out of everything.
This is unbelievable.
I report on disinformation. Shut the that albino's got to go. The dude that tried to buy Alex Jones' channel has to go. They got to go.
So let me just go back to Charlie Kirk's. He says, so what is their justification for making such a deranged insinuation? For agreeing with mainstream conservative foreign policy positions that Americans just overwhelmingly voted for? For agreeing with 50 years of foreign policy orthodoxy before Biden that Ukraine should not be part of NATO? And let me just, by the way, let me just put this. She has outlined a policy not different from the views of Vice President J.D. Vance, who has also emerged as a critic of American support for Ukraine. American support for Ukraine? America can't find Ukraine on a map.
Yeah.
You mean deep state support for Ukraine. That's what they actually mean. By the way, they call it the deep state, but it's forming a white head at this point.
Time to pop it. What do they base these insinuations on? For her agreeing with famed University of Chicago political scientist John Mersheimer
that reckless NATO expansionism provoked Russian aggression, for agreeing with Senator J.D. Vance, who the American people just elected, that our foreign policy goals should be peace through strength, ending wars, and putting a stop to America's sordid history of military adventurism, for agreeing that the foreign policy of Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Victoria Nuland, and the intelligence community establishment has been a catastrophic disaster. That's what they base their smear that she's a favorite of the Russians. How about for agreeing with history that our intelligence agencies were wrong about Iraq and WMDs, wrong about Syria, wrong about Libya, wrong about Iran, and wrong about Afghanistan for 20 years? For proposing the idiocy that has sunk more than $200 billion into Ukraine quagmire and has put us on the brink of World War III. The New York Times says Tulsi Gabbard is a danger to the intel community. They're right. She will finally bring the war machine to heel and ensure that serving the interests of America first rather than sowing chaos and bloodshed abroad, confirmed Tulsi Gabbard. Now,
I want Trump to nuke NATO.
They want J.D. Vance wants peace through strength. Well, that's crazy talk.
Yeah, that's toxic masculine talk. What you need to do is flail about like they used to call it hysterical, but you shouldn't say that word now.
So Tulsi Gabbard is actually a danger to the intelligence community because what the intelligence community is doing is actually a danger to us. Right now, they're trying as hard as they can to get Putin to use a nuclear weapon. Right now.
Yeah. Well, how Hitler wanted Germany dead if he couldn't win.
That's right.
That's exactly what your intel community is. At least Hitler didn't call everybody else Hitler when he did that, you know?
Tulsi Gabbard is a danger to the intelligence community the same way that flossing is a danger to your dentist's bank account.
Is it?
Just so you know.
I never floss. I mean, sometimes, but almost never.
Here's Zaid Jelani says, a telling paragraph about Tulsi in the New York Times. There's no evidence she's working with Russia, but she agrees with Russia about some geopolitical issues. Would they ever write this paragraph about a member of Congress parroting Israel?
Well, no, because they're intel agents, so obviously not.
Or Saudi Arabia. Go ahead.
No, I just looked up the guy on Twitter. First of all, his profile picture, he's wearing a COVID mask.
You mean the guy who wrote this article?
Well, the first guy. I haven't looked at all of them, but they're all. There's no such thing as a disinformation expert unless you work in intel, because that's an intel community word. That's not a normal word that other people would use. That's a thing that trickled down from the bullshit intel community that I hope Trump. Oh my God, I hope RFK, as I say many times, treats them like a whale carcass he found one time.
Yep. Hugo Vale says, if the New York Times says Tulsi is a foreign asset, that means Tulsi is an American asset. It's very simple. The legacy media always lies. Clay Thompson says, they really are going with the whole Russia thing again, huh? Wild. I know. It just
Project Mockingbird never ended. They're doing Project Mockingbird.
Yes.
That's what these people are. There's not enough regular reporters to pay off. They're putting agents in there.
Yes.
They come out of these bullshit. I mean, I can't. I hope he really does do something. I joke around, but I get my hopes up because there's a lot of these people. And how the hell are they going to get them out?
So attorney Bobby Ann Cox says, boy, that's quite a name, says, if the New York Times is attacking Tulsi, then we know she will be fabulous at her new job starting in January.
I can't wait to see Morning Joe cheering on the trials. I cannot wait for Morning Joe to cheer Trump on. You know, he had to go suck dick at Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we covered it.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see all the people that flip because all the rats are flipping, you know? And I'll bet you're going to watch Morning Joe and he's going to be talking about how great it is they're getting this disease out of the
so now
the government.
What I was actually what they called a surrogate for the Tulsi presidential campaign.
A surrogate?
A surrogate, yeah. I gave birth to some of their ideas, and
oh, good for you.
And no,
out of your dick hole.
What led me to support Tulsi Gabbard was that she was for getting corporate money out of politics, and she was for Medicare for all, and she was anti-war. She told the truth about Syria, which no one else would in government. She was the only one. Maybe Thomas Massey did. I don't know, but she was the only one. And that's when they started smearing her. She was telling the truth about that we shouldn't go into Syria. We shouldn't do these regime change wars. And I was busy debunking the Assad gassed his own people lie that the intelligence community cooked up and the New York Times still repeats. So, and by the way, they still say it in my Wikipedia that was a conspiracy theory. No, the conspiracy theory is that Assad gassed his own people. That's the conspiracy theory. I debunked it, and it wasn't hard.
Yeah, right. Well, it is if no one's ever going to look at what you're saying because it's not mainstream. See, I trust mainstream, Jimmy.
So
I don't trust facts because you could make those up. It could be fake. I wait for the people I trust, the mainstream, to tell me what I think.
So just so you know that I don't have rose-colored glasses on when I look at Trump or his appointments. We've made 5. I have a whole new bit about making fun of Marco Rubio being appointed Secretary of State. But so I want to give you the other side. So here's what Whitney Webb, I like to call her Whitey, what she said. She says current Tulsi has many different policy takes than 2020, which is when I was a big supporter of her presidential campaign. Tulsi or previous iterations of Tulsi. For example, she previously described Israel as occupying Palestine. Now she opposes American students protesting Israel's destruction of Gaza and thinks Biden was too soft in enabling the IDF's brutal bombing campaign with an insane civilian death toll. People celebrating her appointment should scrutinize some of her relatively recent about faces. It matters what her policy positions are now, not what they were 4 years ago. Well, I think they both matter. And I am scrutinizing her. So that's why I'm showing this tweet by Whitey Webb. Is it okay if I call her Whitey? I like, that's my nickname for it. I'm like George Bush. Hey, Whitey. That's my, hey, Stretch. How you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
So just so you don't think that I'm here apologizing for politicians, which I'm giving you what the mainstream news won't give you, and they won't tell you that that's actually a problem. So the New York Times, the actual problem with Tulsi, they won't tell you about.
Right.
So I'll tell you
the same views.
That's right, because that's right. So I'll tell you the truth about Tulsi, the good part that the mainstream news won't tell you. But I'll also tell you the thing that actually they should be criticizing her for. They won't. They won't criticize her for this.
No politician at all is going to do the right thing with Gaza. There's not one in the country.
Well, there is Thomas Massey.
Well, yeah, but they're going to let him live, I guess. But no one else will be allowed to do that. Luckily for everyone, the IDF sucks at fighting and they're losing. So,
yes.
look at the positives.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. Great job, New York Times. And that they want to censor us. No, we're the ones who debunk the New York Times and their garbage. Over to Steph.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Skinny Ribsy. Didn't we just meet Skinny Ribsy? Found out a couple of my coworkers were former Jehovah's Witnesses yesterday. The first question I had was, do you all know Kurt Metzger? Skinny Ribsy. Did they? We want to know, Skinny. Fred Pound, wife gives me Trump derangement syndrome inspired divorce, citing Trump to end no-fault divorce and prohibit women from taking birth control, etc. Says she loves me, wants to stay together, but wants no legal ties to any man. Fred Pound.
Okay, come to me.
Whoa, thank you.
How old are you guys?
So I just want to show you that they've been doing this to Tulsi Gabbard since I was a surrogate for her presidential campaign. And now, so this is Donald Trump's pick to oversee U.S. intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard has raised alarms as she embraces a worldview mirroring the Kremlin's playbook. It also mirrors my playbook. It also mirrors J.D. Vance's playbook. It also mirrors the consensus of conservative thought before Joe Biden became president. That we should not put Ukraine into NATO. We should not arm NATO, and we shouldn't expand NATO, which is what we did to provoke Russia.
That's why they're trying to get us nuked with Russia right now, because America also embraces that worldview, and that makes America complicit with Putin.
So this is right. So this is the New York Times. So most Americans agree with her, but they're going to call that Kremlin's playbook. That is just playbook. That is just right. Just that is like North Korean, old Soviet Union, China style propaganda. But here it is, right in the New York Times, because that's what the New York Times is, and that's why. Yeah. That's why we have a show. By the way,
North Korea had nuance compared to the New York Times.
That's right. That's right. So that used to be called McCarthyism. That used to be the worst thing you could do. You know, a lot of people did a movie. Who's George Clooney, Meryl Streep? They were the star of George Clooney was a star of a movie that was all about McCarthyism. You remember that?
What?
Oh, yeah. What was that?
What was that movie?
Good Night, Good Luck?
Good Night and Good Luck.
Oh, well, he's the one that decided for the DNC to kick Biden out,
and
George Clooney. So I'm not speaking to him.
So here it is, how Tulsi Gabbard became a favorite of Russian state media. So they're doing that. This is what they do. This is why people hate the media. And so this is Barry Weiss. She used to work. Yeah. She used to work for the New York Times, and she is in many respects, a horrible person. But in many respects, she's just your average New York Times chump. She's since left the New York Times, and now now she goes and sims for Benjamin Netanyahu and a genocide in Israel.
Once it turned on her, I mean, she's like, I talked to her on the phone one time. Did I tell you that?
No, she used to be for free speech. Now she's not, because she found speech she doesn't like, which is pro-Palestinian protester speech.
Back in the day, she was like that. Way back in college, she was like that. She has a history of that, of trying to suppress other people's speech.
Yeah.
Then in New York Times, it blew back on her and she left. But that programming of like, you dare not criticize the Likud party.
Yeah.
Not even Israel. It's not even supporting Israel. You got to support Likud. You have to support one party.
Yeah.
Likud.
You talked to her on the phone?
Yeah, because I was going to maybe do a show. Me and Kyle were going to maybe do Pussies at this event called Was the Sexual Revolution Good for Women? And we were going to go on to a comedy thing, but they were like, maybe we should get a female comedian instead. So they did that.
So, but I mean,
I'm sure it was killer.
Your characters are basically females. Anyway,
yeah, we are the new men.
Here we already. So she went on Joe Rogan, and she smeared that back when the old smear against Tulsi was that she was in bed with the Assad of Syria, because she told the truth about Syria, and that again the United States was funding a proxy war, and we were trying to decapitate the leader of Syria, like we did in Iraq, like we did in Libya, and we lost, like we did in Afghanistan, like we did in Iran in 1953. Like that. This is what we do.
Not a single thing has been good for America that we did. Not a single thing. It's been good for a small amount of people. That's the goal, is to lose the war, not to win it, because then how we get all their resources.
So Tulsi Gabbard called out the United States policy in Syria, and so they go into and they start smearing her. Well, Barry Weiss revealed herself to be one of the more empty-headed idiot smearers of Tulsi, and we did a live show. And we took her down. So people have been passing this video around on Twitter, so I figured I'd show it to you again to show you what kind of moronic morons. Is that a term, moronic morons? That might be redundant over and over.
It's like willfully stupid. It's not like It's not like she couldn't know things. She's smart enough to know things, but they on purpose for status, maintaining status. There's dumb on purpose.
So this was our most popular video we've ever done on this channel. It got over 5 million views. So I'm going to show you a snippet of it, and let's enjoy it. And here we go.
Kristen Gillibrand.
So they're talking about people who were running for president in the Democratic Party in 2019. And she says Kristen Gillibrand. And Joe Rogan says Tulsi Gabbard. And she says, oh, monstrous. Watch this.
Kristen Gillibrand. Monstrous. Ideas.
Well, when she was 22, she had...
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that
What does that mean?
Okay, I don't know if you heard, Joe goes, what does that mean? And she says...
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly, Jamie.
Go to Jamie to back it up.
When you don't... That's what's called a received opinion. Right? So that's not her own opinion. She's heard other people in her neoliberal bubble say that stuff, so she just repeats it. She doesn't even know what the insult means. She writes for the New York Times. Fucking of course she does. Of course she writes for the New York Times. What?
Better than an Israel toady.
Yeah, here we go. Okay.
I'm Barry Weiss. I've got strong opinions. Wait, will you look that up? Just take a second.
She literally tells so much.
Can you check what toady means?
Like towing the line? Is that what it means?
No, I think it's like a...
It's right
Like an angry toad of some sort. It's like a CIA talking point. I think it's a CIA talking point.
Jamie, is there a word describing somebody who has no point of view of their own, or someone just regurgitates views they read on Twitter? You have that? Is there a picture of me next to that?
It's called a toady. It's called a toady.
This gets worse. This doesn't get better, by the way. It's going to get worse. Watch.
ADIE.
What does that mean?
I think it means what I think it means.
3 times he asked her, what does it mean? And she's scratching her head. She's chewing her pen.
Definition of toadies.
So they bring it up.
Person who
Sycophant,
flatters or defers to others for self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
Yeah.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
Say proven.
Prove
Say
it.
proven.
no about her.
It's known.
Like, what did she say that
We have to look.
qualifies
I
her?
don't remember the details. I've read it.
She's atrocious, a monstrous fuse. What are they? I don't know. I bet they're pretty bad, though, right? Right, Joe? Don't you know them? Can you look them up? They're horrible, I bet. Somebody look them up. What the fuck's going on?
Wait a minute. Everybody at the New York Times always agrees with me. Huh?
Say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it, rather.
Well, I have read it.
So Joe Rogan, comedian, Fear Factor host Joe Rogan, who announces guys fighting in cages, is now schooling the New York Times journalists. That's how shitty they are. That's how easy it is. All my friends ask me, Jimmy, what do you do with the news? It's easy. This is what I'm up against. It's easy. Easy. So Joe Rogan just asking her, well, maybe we should know what we're saying before we say those things. I'm not a journalist, and I just spoke pot, and I'm pretty sure I'm better than you.
Oh.
It gets worse. It gets. You think it gets? It's not over. It gets worse.
No, I mean, we should now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just so we know what she said.
Look up
I've had her
Tulsi
on here
Gabbard.
before,
Look
and
up
I really
Tul-
enjoyed talking to her. I like her a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I like talking to her.
Okay,
I like
okay.
talking to her. I don't know about...
I think she's like the mother load of bad ideas. I'm pretty positive about that.
That's
You're
Islam,
positive that
though.
she's the motherload of bad ideas. Do you understand how words work?
I'm pretty positive.
The mother load.
Pretty
I can't even name one of the loads in the mother load.
Google the Tulsi Gabbard mother load. Tulsi Gabbard mother
Don't tell me about that. Let me Google it. Right now, I think she's taking a load in her pants because she didn't expect pushback from Joe Rogan. Nobody ever pushes back at the New York Times. Everybody just lets me call Tulsi Gabbard a toady, and everyone pats me on the head and says, "Nice work."
That's a quote from sMEARS talking about.
But maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're wrong about the motherload of bad opinions you just said. Maybe I'm wrong about the motherload. The fucking mother.
How do you say that? How do you say that so convincingly? Everyone in here is a fucking Russian apologist. I think. I'm not sure. I'm gonna maybe.
Could you look that up?
Could you look up? Could you look up what you are? I just said something emphatically.
I saw 10,000 guys shooting guns the other day. Oh, I don't know if I did. Maybe I didn't.
It might have been water balloons. No, is it anyway, but you know what I mean. Basically, it's the same thing.
We don't like Tulsi, right?
I work for the New York Times. We've been endorsing coups since 1954. We were on the Mossadegh. We were on that. New York Times. We were for overthrowing him. Thank you very much. We were on upsetting the Middle East before people even knew there was a Middle East. So here, it gets worse. You think I'm kidding? There's more to this. Watch this.
Well, my take on her was that I think as a person who's coming from the left, who's also a veteran, and is very articulate and sensible and a woman, and in talking to her, we didn't get into Assad or any of those things, but talking to her about what she feels is wrong with the current administration and the way things are running and a direction she thinks things could go in. She had some very promising ideas. I didn't know about this.
But doesn't she also, did she ever apologize for believing in conversion therapy?
So we just moved off your mother load where we left Assad and your mother load and boom, oh my God, do you ever get whiplash when you switch fucking topics that fast? Like, I thought we were talking about the Assad motherlode. What happened to that? That's all gone. Now, did she ever apologize for this horrible thing that she fucking apologized for 1,000,000 times? That she did when she was a goddamn teenager? You mean that? Yeah. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
And her voting record that now has 100% approval rating from Human Rights Watch? That thing?
You mean the biggest LGBT organization in the world? You mean that?
That one?
Monstrous.
So here we go.
I didn't even know she believed in conversion therapy.
Am I crazy?
Yes. No, stupid. There's a difference. No, you're stupid on purpose. And if you were crazy, you wouldn't be worried right now that Joe Rogan is exposing your bullshit. There's a crazy person doesn't know they're crazy. See, you know you're full of shit. That's why you keep using bullshit terms like, I don't know, maybe, am I wrong about that? Could I be wrong about that? Maybe, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Here we go.
I'm almost positive this is real. I think her father went...
Oh my God! In the cafeteria at the New York Times, they just tell us to say Tony an apologist and that just to say this. We didn't.
I think the sign in the cafeteria of the New York Times says, "I'm almost positive this is real."
And they all tap it like before they go right, like the Notre Dame locker room. I'm almost positive this is real. And their editor gets them all in the room at the beginning of the news day. Guys, let's try to kind of maybe get it right if you can, or don't worry about it.
That's the good grandma would.
Like a center.
That's the old grandma. I miss that guy.
Oh, you're right.
I miss that guy. I had so much fun with him.
You're talking about gay people,
yes.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. I never heard that. I did hear something about when she was very young. She was like 22. She had said something about gay marriage and civil unions that she apologized for.
Is she promoting her book, I'm Pretty Sure?
And the subtitle is Words I've Heard.
It doesn't get better. Here we go.
Assad in Syria without informing top Democrats.
Okay, so now the guy who works with Joe Rogan brought up her thing about Syria, and here we go.
She said she went on a fact-finding mission in support of peace for Syrian people, but characterized U.S.-backed rebels as terrorists.
Because they are.
You know why? Because they're fucking terrorists. And we've been arming and funding al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS in Syria. The goddamn CIA admits it in her own fucking paper, but it's on page 68, okay? Yeah, so she doesn't know this. She doesn't know. Barry Weiss has not been told this, right?
You know what, Jimmy? I just want to say that if anybody wants to smear me, go right ahead as long as my photo looks this great.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Why can't gals smile more?
Jesus Christ.
I mean, don't you think most of the world's problems come down to gals just frowning too much? There was a time when we'd come home and you'd greet us with a smile, and we'd forget about the coup that we just organized.
Okay, so that's a snippet. I wanted to play that for you. That's the hilarious Paul Gilmartin at Mental Pod. He does that's a character he's playing, by the way. He used to be playing a Republican congressman, Richard Martin, from the 29th District of Ohio. Anyway,
When I talked to her on the phone, by the way, it was funny. It was when Pasta was hosting, and we were talking to that guy from that Pakistani. It's like a huge band out there. When we cooed, what's the soccer player, Imran Khan?
Yeah.
So America had just cooed Imran Khan because he wasn't backing the Ukraine war, and I was talking to her on the phone about that, and she goes, "Oh, that guy's crazy. He was stalking his ex-girlfriend that I'm friends with." She's like an airhead. She doesn't know anything about world events. She hangs out with very rich, fancy people. And by the way, when she said motherload of bad ideas, she was cribbing from Sam Harris.
That's right.
His famous Muslim thing. When it turned out Sam Harris has worse ideas than Islam by a mile.
By
quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to show you that. That was our most famous or most popular video we've ever done. It's a great panel. Lee Camp, Paul Gilmartin, Steph Zamorano, the good Graham Elwood. There it is. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now we're going to take a break, and we're going to bring on our guest. Matt Stoller is here. We're going to talk about Matt Gaetz. And,
there's a lot to talk about.
He has a very, as they would call, heterodox opinion about Matt Gaetz. So let's.
That thing is bullshit. They try to do to him, and the scumbag that made those fake charges, name's Greenberg. I think he went to prison. But I love Sonny Hostin having to read that disclaimer.
I wish.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, yeah. So Malcolm, can you do me a solid and get me a video? Oh, maybe it's in that already. Maybe it's.
I'll text you the memology one if you don't have it.
If it's
all right, I'll be back. I guess.
Okay.
I'll be back.
All right. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back.